Are you confident overall about the prospects for the Japanese economy?
For me?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're quite bullish on Japan. I mean, Japan is a must-own country today for investors. The key, as my panelists have said, is the continuity of these reforms, the continuity of these policies. That's what investors really need as a foundation, right? Is stability, transparency, and continuity so they can invest for the long term in a country like Japan. But we're very, very bullish.
What are you, I mean, is it a crowded space for private equity at the moment in Japan?
I think there have been a lot of articles of the growing demand for private equity in Japan. But when you look at the US or you look at Europe, private equity in Japan, it's at its infancy, honestly. There are much fewer players, probably less than 1/10 of the competition that we face in other markets. So there's a lot of room to grow. The private equity industry will grow also as the capital markets in Japan continue to diversify. Japan today is very much a bank-led economy, right? The main banks in Japan, the regional banks. You don't have the same sort of capital markets in terms of the bond market, high yield market. That's going to be a huge enabler of private equity and the types of transactions we do. And private credit is a whole different asset class, which really doesn't exist in Japan today. So there are multiple legs, and you could see that could really accelerate the development of private equity over time.
John, do you agree with that? And do you worry about bidding wars if more players come in?
Well, there's always competition. You'd love to be in a market where there isn't, but we live in a world where people see opportunities. They get on planes, they build their offices on the ground. But I agree that relative to what we see in the U.S. and Europe, it's still early days in terms of private asset investing in Japan. And the number of players relative to the scale of the economy is still pretty small. So we think it's a pretty favorable dynamic as an investor. And it also feels like it's early days because these reforms have only been in place for a short period of time. And people are excited that the Japanese stock market is above the 1989 level. But think about where that is relative to other markets. And you think about the long-term potential. And you also think about Japan's strength in technology in the world we're moving into. So we have a lot of underlying bullishness around the economy. The fact that the market's opening up and there are a limited number of players on the ground, that all seems to us to be a very good dynamic.